Hello everyone, I hope you are all having a wonderful day. Today I wanted to go over something that I struggled with a little bit, so, hoping that my experience will kind of help you guys a little bit. And it kind of comes so what it's about is coming up with names for characters. Typically in books, although it could also be like in poems or any kind of, form of writing or, telling a story. Sometimes character names can be very difficult for people. I really struggled with them, so I kind of wanted to go over a couple ways in which I did it. This video is going to be a little bit different, so I'll go over the 3 ways that I do it. I'm going to make a whole video that you can find on my YouTube, and then I'm going to break it up into shorter parts so you can just watch whatever one you want to, watch. So the first one's going to be obviously using just common character names and how you can do that. Second one is to find names that are kind of unique and then going from there. And the third way is going to be kind of like sounding out names, and something that I personally do, wouldn't necessarily recommend for everyone, but still want to share with you guys. All right, so moving on to the first one where it's just character names, and this is something you can use unique names, you can even use common names. This one, it really depends if you're doing, fantasy sci-fi, or if you're trying to do more of like a mystery, like grunge style thing. So you can obviously use just super easy names. Like my name's Tom, you can use Tom. You can use like Megan or Brandon or, very common names is what I'm gonna say. Or you can even use, kind of uncommon names that people still know. So I know a person named Kale, right? Kind of uncommon, you don't know a lot of people named Kale, but that's actually one of my characters' names in one of my manuscripts where it's super easy, you can just put in. Same with Nessia. I only know one Nessia, but it's still a name you can kind of use. You can also use names like Winston. I don't know if anyone knows of Winston, but I'm sure everyone knows of like Winston Churchill, for example. So you can use older names, common names, any kind of style of names to kind of help spice up your book a little bit. Next, I'll kind of be going into part 2, technically part 3. I'll be going into another way that I come up with names. Thank you so much. All right, so this is part 2, or the same part if you're just watching on YouTube, right? The second way I kind of come up with it is finding names that have something to do with what you want your character to represent. And so there's a couple different ways you can do this. The first one is coming up with a name that you think represents it. So for an example, let's say I wanted to write a character that I think is really sturdy, really plants his roots into like his ideals and beliefs. I might call him Trent or something like that. Something where when you think of the name, you can picture him a little bit better. I want to call him Cupcake, for example, right? Even though that's not much of a name, but I think you get my idea. The second way you kind of do this is, or at least I do this, is you look up something like victory in like Latin or in, Greek or something like that. And you take a lot of those root words and you try and find, how to make that into a name, right? So that's kind of the second way that I find names. And next I'll kind of go into what I do a lot is sounding out names. All right, so for this one is a little unconventional. I wouldn't recommend this for everyone, but this is something I personally do. It's not a true naming mechanic, but what I do is I try and sound out names. So I take vowels and let's say, for example, you want to come up with a name for a kingdom or anything like that, and you don't want it to be a person's name or an item. What I do is I'll do this in my head, but I'll do it out loud for this video. But you find something kind of like Rel, for example, a name that you might know of, something like that, and then you add in vowels and different ways to do it. So it's Rel, Ryle, Real, Riel, Riel, Riel. I like Riel. One of my characters is named Riel. So I just wrote Riel down. I don't know any Riels. I didn't find it somewhere. It's something in my head where I'm constantly thinking of names. You might think of Darren, and then how do you make that into a different name? Darrell, Darain, right? And you kind of like sound it out in your head until you find a name you like. And you can take inspirations from lots of different places to do this. Thank you guys so much. I hope this helps. If you guys have any recommendations, I'd love to hear it. You all have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.